Hello and welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Tonight I am your host Dan Potts and I'm doing another 1 to 11. The international break is kind of coming to an end now, and that means it's going to be Arsenal again at the weekend, which is at the moment unfortunately a little depressing. So while we do these 1 to 11s, is we try and put some positive vibes back and get involved in some ex-players and go through some moments and goals and Arsenal history and memorabilia. Joining me tonight is a couple of panellists. We have Mr. Guns and Yellow Ribbons himself. I call him the Irish Paul Merson. I also call him Michael Parkinson. Fergus Keating. How are you, Ferg?
I'm very well, thank you very much. How was the real Paul Merson yesterday?
He's not as dyslexic as you, mate, I don't think.
Not that many about the other main man at the minute. It's his 1 to 11.
Yeah, absolutely. Also joining me tonight is a good friend of mine, Mr. Arsenal Fan TV himself, also on the podcast, Same Old Arsenal with me, Mr. Lee Judges. How are you, Lee?
Good, thank you very much. Thanks for inviting us on here. Really looking forward to it, Dan. Really looking forward to it. So
yeah, so am I, mate.
Positivity, that's what we need.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. Let's invite everyone back in. Listen, thanks very much for coming on again, Lee, and doing this 1 to 11. I just think it breaks it up a bit, mate, and gives us something to talk about that isn't just depressing, if that makes sense, at the moment as it has been. So thanks for coming on, mate. You know the score. You start, it's your 1 to 11, but you have to have seen them play live or on television, right? So how hard was it for you to pick these? Because it must have been hard to leave people out, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I've left some right. I think I've left some proper players out, you know, so some real tough ones. But I felt like I personally think I got it right. Like, you know
I think. Well, I've seen your team, man. I think it's absolutely brilliant. So, start us off, mate, with your goalkeeper. Let's go for it. Who have you gone for in goal in the sticks? Because you could have had a few options.
Yeah, a few options. I think Pat Jennings come very, very close. Very, very close.
Right, okay.
He was my sort of really first goalkeeper that I don't know if you remember, like Jimmy Rimmer was probably the first goalkeeper that I sort of remember. Bob Wilson was just a little bit before my time. But Pat Jennings was brilliant goalkeeper. Even though he was like towards the end of his career coming to the Arsenal, he was still fantastic. But I think I've gone for David Seaman because I think that we got him in his prime. And you know, was there for a very, very long time, and I just felt in the 1991 season he was absolutely like fantastic. That first season that we had him, there was doubts about, well, did we really want to get him in, because John Lukic was a good goalkeeper for us as well, by the way, but George Graham felt that he was the best, and he proved to be it over the years as well. England's number one as well, so Dave Seaman gets my number one in goal.
So what year did you start watching Arsenal, Lee?
I can't remember what year it is. You know, when you're young, my dad used to take me over, and I just remember people like Pat Rice, Liam Brady, Sammy Nelson, that sort of era. But whatever year that was, 76, maybe 77, around about that time that I started going to games. Not all the time, just you know, like if my dad was, you know, in a good mood and decided to take me, like, you know. So we used to go in the clock in. I don't know why he ever went in the clock in. You know what I mean? I remember, you know, like wanting to be in the North Bank for all those times. And he said, when you're old enough, you can go in there. But and that's what I did when I was old enough. I went down the North Bank. But yeah, so around
the 70s, then, yeah, so early 70s, yeah.
Like mid 70s, please.
Cool.
Please, Dan.
Cool.
Not early
70s. Mid 70s will do, mate. Right back. Who are you gone for at right back, mate?
Really tough one again. I think there's 3 players I've got to mention before I went with this one. Lauren has to come close, come very close, come to my thinking really, really close. But I just didn't think probably defensively he was probably strong enough. Pat Rice was the first right back that I can remember, and he was a fantastic right back for us. And had a little spell and a couple of seasons with Viv Anderson. He was a magnificent fullback. I'm telling you, like up and down, scored some goals. You know, European Cup winner with Notts Forest, England international, superb player he was. And I think if it had stayed at Arsenal a couple more years, I would have probably gone with him. But Lee Dixon gets it for me because, again, was fantastic in there for us. And again, played a lot of games for us and won titles and, could defend, also could get forward as well. So Lee Dixon gets my right back berth.
Great shout, mate. I was a massive fan of Lee Dixon. Massive fan. Great player. Sorry, mate. I should have said this before, but my throat is absolutely killing me today, so I'm proper croaky as hell. Mate, have you gone for four? Have you gone for four at the back? Have you?
Yeah, four at the back. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, old school.
Who have you gone for alongside him as your first centre back then?
First centre back. There's only one. He had to be captain as well. To me, it's been an absolute pleasure watching him over the years, led by example. Didn't always plain sailing for Tony Adams, but every time there was a problem, he sought to solve it. I just thought he was an excellent defender. And I would imagine that everybody doing their 1 to 11, if they'd seen Tony Adams play, they would have put him in there. So he comes in there as my first central defender and also my captain as well. So
would you have him as a manager?
Would I have him
as a manager?
Oh, that's a tough one. Do you know what? I wouldn't have him as a manager, not necessarily a manager, but I'd definitely have him on the coaching staff. He could surely do something towards our back four. Lee Dixon always says that he used to coach the players on the pitch. So why couldn't he do it? Coming through, surely someone like the younger players would look up to somebody like that. I'm amazed that we've not delved into his defensive skills and got him on the.
Do you not find him a little bit? I don't want to be derogatory to the guy, but he's definitely a bit eccentric.
Oh, he's very eccentric, but in a nice way, though, Fergus. In a nice way.
Sometimes that's good, isn't it? Sometimes that's good.
I think. Listen, I think that if you ever speak to him, he does talk about his demons a lot. So maybe for the younger people, that wouldn't be a good fit. You wouldn't want to hear all those sort of things all the time if you're young and impressionable. I don't know, but certainly from my point of view, when you talk, he's one of those guys. I don't know if you've ever met him, but when he talks, you feel like you've got to listen. I don't know if you've ever met him, but that's how I felt when I've met him. Very, very nice guy. Listen, the other week they had the England international thing at Wembley, didn't they? Like the 1000th game, and he went in his Arsenal scarf. It just tells you all about the man. You know what I mean? Like goes to the international thing in his Arsenal scarf, and I just think that he's Arsenal through and through. And I just everybody that's you talk to players that have played with him, they all turn around and say what a skipper he was and whatever like that. So, and there's a lot of admiration for him, but eccentric, very, very much so. Certainly with his wearing of suits, he wouldn't win no fashion awards, I have to say. But absolutely fantastic central defender, and without that, has to come in.
Difficult to dry clean some of them.
Say again, sorry, folks.
Difficult to dry clean some of those suits, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to do them like what I mean. That green one that he wears is absolutely awful, by the way. I'm never going to tell him that, though. I'm never going to tell him.
To be fair, I think everyone's put him in so far. I don't know an Arsenal fan that wouldn't put Tony Adams in. How can you not? Absolutely superb. Mate, alongside him, who have you gone for, Lee? Alongside Tony Adams?
Sol Campbell. I'll tell you, a very, very difficult decision. Because you can look at, I think that there's 3 central defenders that could, in my time, pushed him, and that would be Steve Bold. Martin Keown's a fantastic defender. I have to say that was very, very close. Underrated. I think Martin Keown, by the way, was underrated at Arsenal. I think he was that good. He could defend, like man mark and everything like that. And I just love the way he played the game. Passion and everything like that. So he come very, very, very close. And David O'Leary has to get a mention as well. He was, I think, a central defender that played like late 70s through the 80s and 90s And if he played now, he'd be a perfect central defender. I think like played a little bit before his time, if you know what I mean, as far as the way he played. You know, good footballer. Very rarely got muddy, and he was a great defender. But when Sol come, I just think that we were needing a central defender to replace Tony Adams. And do you know, the reason that I put Sol in there is because when Sol Campbell come here, as good as Tony Adams is, and you just said there that everybody's put him in there 1 to 11, no one turned around and said, "Oh, we miss Tony Adams." You know, when Patrick Vieira left out, and everybody, I've caught what you got, Dan.
You have, mate.
You know, like,
contagious.
Everybody goes, "Oh, we miss Vieira, we miss so and so," but nobody ever turned around and said, "Oh, I don't know, we half miss Tony Adams," because Sol Campbell come in and done a fantastic job there, and a good leader as well, strong. You know, had to have some personality because of, you know, the Spurs connections as well. Won the fans over immediately, absolutely immediately, and was a colossus for about 4 or 5 years. I thought he was fantastic. So he gets it for me.
I never thought about it like that, man. That's a great point in terms of Tony Adams, because they did that. I think everyone missed him as such, as the person that he was and the captain that he was. But in terms of the quality of the team, I don't think we did go down, and that is massively respected to Sol Campbell. I think it's a great shout. Left back must have been hard, Lee. Do you reckon? There must be a few, wouldn't there? Jeez, there's some great left backs.
Great left backs. Sammy Nelson has to get a mention when he first come there. Like, you know, Nigel Winterburn. I'm going to say this now. I have to say probably one of the most underrated fullbacks. Harry never got so many international well, I don't know how many he got, but he got a handful. But was absolutely brilliant for Arsenal. Got to say that, like. But it come down to two, and I honestly. If I would, I've gone for Kenny Sampson, because when I was growing up at that time, and I just thought he could attack, but he also could defend, and I think that he was just slightly better defender than Ashley Cole. That's the only reason I've gone for it. Nothing to do with the Chelsea connections or anything like that. I just felt that Ashley was, you know, at the end of the day, if someone said to me, "I'm putting in Ashley Cole," I've got no argument. I think it's just, if I'll be honest, I think it's just that I like Kenny Sampson when he first came to the club. It was a little bit of a favourite of mine. I just liked the way he played.
How's he doing these days? Because I know he had a bit of a tough time of it.
Yeah, as far as I know, he's still having a tough time, you know, sort of in and out of things, you know. And it was always, you know, there was a room that the reason that he came to Arsenal, because it was through gambling problems that he'd owed a bit of money, so he needed to transfer out of Crystal Palace, and that's why he comes to the Arsenal. But even for all those problems that he had, I think he had a bit of the gambling problems all through his Arsenal career. I also think he come to Arsenal, I think it was about the 80-81 season, when when you think we got it bad now, you know what I mean, we was awful then. And he come into a side that was really struggling in the first couple of years, but he was just, you know, played along as a partnership with Graham Ricks, and they was absolutely fantastic down that left side. And, you know, yeah, Ashley Cole, I've got to say this as well, has got to have a big mention. I think that was absolutely superb for us, for, you know, to come through the ranks and do what he did. I thought he was a brilliant player as well.
That's who I had in mind, because I didn't see Kenny or any of those players. I Ashley Cole as my
yeah. No, look, listen, you know, it would be interesting to see from what the old, you know, like the guys say, like from 50 upwards would say. You know, I think honestly, if you had done a poll, that it would be very close. 51-49.
It'll be interesting to see what Trent has to say when he does his one.
Yeah. So it'd be very interesting to see that one, to just see what he does put from there, like, you know. And it is a sad thing that someone like, but just shows you how two great fullbacks they were, because probably Nigel Winterburn would get into most other, if take them two out, he would probably get into it. And Sammy Nelson was a great left back as well. So, but you know, I think that them two were a cut above.
Yeah.
Fair one, mate. I can't argue with that, to be fair. You've gone for 4 at the back. You've gone for 4 in midfield as well. Who's your first centre midfielder then, Lee?
First centre midfielder. Again, I think that everybody's Arsenal 1 to 11 will have this man in there. Very, very close to being captain. I just thought he was absolutely one of my favourite ever players. Patrick Vieira. I think that he would have to be up there. Do you know what? I put him very, very close. To Bergkamp and Omri get everything because of their striking roles and everything like that. But this man to me was the very, very best at what he'd done in the world at the time that he'd done it for many, many years. And we was lucky enough to have him. If you wanted to mix it with Patrick, he could mix it. If you wanted to play football, he could play football. He could do the lot. He could do the absolute lot. And speaking to players that have played against him, they just said, he couldn't get close to him. Someone like Steven Gerrard, who I think was probably one of the best midfield players I've ever seen in the Premier League era, turned around and said that he was the best and, absolutely wiped the floor of him in the FA Cup final in 2001. But unfortunately, he got the winner's medal. But he was that good. He was that good. And my brother, as you know, is a Spurs fan. And he went to the semi-final. Oh, when was that now? 2001, the semi-final at Old Trafford. My brother went there and met him afterwards, after the game. And that was the first time he'd seen Patrick Vieira live. And he just said, I've just seen the best player I've ever seen today. And that was Patrick Vieira, So to get that from a Spurs fan was unbelievable. He was awesome that day as well. So Patrick Vieira, one of the best I've ever seen.
Do you think as well?
I saw him first. Sorry, Potsy. I saw him first against Liverpool. I think, was it McManaman? He got sent off a red card at Highbury. And he was getting red cards.
Many red cards.
Yeah. I think he had 8 that in one season, didn't he? So, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, the one thing that I will say about Vieira, which I think was just made the game for me, was the Vieira and Roy Keane situation at Arsenal Man United.
Fantastic. See, unbelievably now, if they played now, you wouldn't get that, because they were not allowed to tackle like they did, But I remember going down Wembley Way in '98 for the FA Cup final and everybody singing that Vieira song, He comes from, it was absolutely fantastic, It was a great song as well, everybody sang it. And those times with Vieira, and Keane were unbelievable. Personally, I think that Roy Keane, I think, is a fantastic foot player. I just think that Vieira was better than him, and that's not being biased. That's my opinion. I think that they were head and shoulders above everybody at that sort of time. They had everything, the pair of them, but I just think Patrick just was a slightly better footballer, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So we go rolling back the years again for this next one. I'm interested to know about this because I only know what I've seen on YouTube and what I've heard about this lad. So who have you gone for alongside Patrick Vieira?
Best player I've seen at Arsenal until Dennis Bergkamp come along and Thierry Henry. He was that good. I remember when I was a kid, my dad said, just watch the number. Well, do you know what? He was famous for playing in number 7, but he did play number 8 a few times. And I remember him playing number 8 with my dad saying, and it was like, oh, is Liam Brady playing today? Yep, he's playing. You'd never got the team sheet and everything like that. And it come out, and my dad just said, just watch him. What a player. Left foot of a wand, an absolute wand. And, Arsenal, it took Arsenal quite a few years to recover when he left. He left Arsenal, went to Juventus, and he cracked Italy, which was very, very hard to do at that moment in time. Just a wonderful, wonderful player. If you ever get to look two games to really go and look at on YouTube, is the time when Arsenal win 5-0 at White Hart Lane. He's just absolutely unbelievable in that game, and the goal he gets in that is unbelievable. And the FA Cup final in '79. This is a player, of course, when you could get away with murder, kicking them and everything like that, and he just bounce off players, and he just dominated games. And for me, like as a kid growing up, I just loved him watching him play. And I'm a little bit jealous because my brother's played a couple of rounds of golf with him like, over in Thailand, and I've never been able to get. I've never met him. There was one opportunity I had because they come over and they was meant to meet him for the West Ham game last year, but he got caught up in saying. But he's one of the players that I'd love to meet. You know what I mean? Because I think, if I'll be honest, he was probably the one that pushed me towards going for Arsenal. You know what I mean? I used to go to Arsenal one week, Tottenham the next week when Tottenham had players like Martin Shivers playing up front. From my granddad, my mum's side were all Tottenham. So in those days, you could go to Arsenal one week and Spurs the next. So my granddad would take us to Tottenham. That's how it comes. My brother becomes a Spurs fan. He'd go Tottenham one week and then Arsenal the next. And three things that made me sway towards Arsenal were the red and white shirts, Ivory, and Liam Brady. So, I just thought he was just, an absolute class.
Fergus, you've obviously seen a lot of Liam Brady in terms of your Irish connections.
I didn't see loads of them, but the only thing I did see of him was in green and white rather than red and white. Yeah, so he carried Ireland, which is not a hugely talented team, but it carried us all the way as far as Italia 90, but unfortunately didn't make the actual final tournament due to an injury or something like that towards the end of his career. So yeah, no, brilliant player. Yeah, I agree with you, 100%.
If you had to compare him to someone in the modern game, Lee, who would it be? Sort of in the last 15 years or so, what's he like? Who's he like that I'd know?
Oh, that's a tough one.
No, I put you on the spot there a bit, but
yeah, put me on the spot there. I think he was all left-footed, so it was very, very difficult. Who would you say? That's a
was
tough
he like
one.
Was he sort of like a box to box? Was he more of a
he was a box to box. He was like he had it all. This thing about holding midfield players and or a number 10 and all that. In those days, it wasn't like that. It was up and down. They was what they done is what they done. He could tackle, he could pass, he could do the lot. But he was mainly left-footed. And he just had a wonderful pass, and he got the name Chippy because people, it's a myth saying because he liked chips, but I don't think it was. These Irish likes potatoes. Yeah, he had this lovely little chipping pass. I think that's where it come from, So very, very competitive. Still, apparently, my brother's saying he don't like losing on the golf course, so he's still got that competitive edge. So I'd have to have a little think about what sort of player, Ireland had another player like, I don't know if you remember him, Kevin Sheedy. He was a sort of left-sided player. But I think Liam Brady was better than him, but everybody used to say Sheedy was a really good player. But, he was in the era of Platini. I think he was as good as somebody like that.
You don't get many players who played for Ireland and end up in Italy.
Yeah.
He's quality, absolute quality.
And bossing it over there as well, terrific player. Lucky to be able to have seen him play.
A couple of people have said that it reminds them of either Bobby Pires or Silva. So
Silva, it's a good call. Yeah. It'd be better than them in this era as well. Don't forget, he got tackled.
Different balls,
yeah. So different pitches, So wonderful player.
Just a quick shout out to my mate Jamie. Thanks for watching, Jamie. I'm surprised you are, seeing as you're a Norwich fan, mate. But fair one. Thank you very much, mate. Top lads. Hopefully we'll beat you in a couple of weeks, mate. And I'll speak to you soon, bud. Lee, we're going to go over to your right midfielder, if that's all right, mate.
Yeah, right. Difficult one again, I've got to say. Very, very difficult. My dad turns around and says one of the best players, the best player that he's seen, and that's alongside Liam Brady, was a player called Georgie Armstrong. I actually never see Georgie Armstrong play, or can't remember him playing. But my dad says that he was definitely up there. The two that I feel that in my time really got the three. I'm going to go three because he did play there a little bit. I've got to mention Freddie. I thought Freddie was fantastic for us for a few seasons. In all our glory years, was very, very much up there. Paul Merson for me would have to get a mention as well, because he was superb for a very, very long time at Arsenal. Doesn't get the praise that he deserves, I don't think. I thought he was a wonderful, wonderful player. But my right side midfield player is, unfortunately, he's not with us no more, and that has to be Rocky. Absolutely. From 86 till about 91, I just thought this boy was breathtaking. How he never got he didn't get as many international caps, just shows you all that how clicky England can be, because he was by far the best player in that position in the team. He was like, he had when we talk about Liam Brady, Rocastle had it all as well. He had this skill. He'd done this step over. I remember even trying it when I was playing, and it fooled players. But he'd done it every game, and he fooled players, of top quality, power, pace, could get stuck in. Any Arsenal player you talk to, the boys that play with him, all have got the utmost whatever for him. Unfortunately, never got to meet him, which is a real sickener for me, because everybody says what a lovely fella he was. And if you go back onto the YouTube games, Man United, when it was really battles and everything like that, he's in the heart of everything. He gets stuck in, but he's not nasty. Do you know what I mean? He was never a nasty player, but he was 100% fair, hard. If you ever get an opportunity, or you've not seen it, go on YouTube and watch his goal against Manchester United at Old Trafford. He does Brian Robson, Paul Ince and Schmeichel in 1 minute. It's an absolute breathtaking goal. And he done goals like that all the time, crops up with some very, very important goals through his career as well. I'm going to say this, when he left Arsenal, I think 3 or 4 players, it's really upset me when they left Arsenal, and he was one of them. When he left, I was absolutely gutted when he left, and I think a wonderful, wonderful player. So he gets it on the right hand side for me.
I think as well, Lee, with Rocky, obviously Gilberto Silva and Ray Parder always get mentioned about how underrated they were for the club, and I think that Rocky's right up there, because as much as he's a top drawer, I don't think he's quite rated as highly. Some of his skills are like Brazilian skills, aren't they? He was that good.
He was that good. He had everything. He had terrific skill, pace, athleticism, everything you wanted. He had it. I think he was underrated, not by Arsenal. I think he was more underrated by the country, because I think that he should have played. I remember going to Wembley. I think it was Denmark. It was 0-0 when he made his. I think it was Denmark when he made his international debut, and three of my mates went along, just because it was Rocastle and he was going to play for England. I never really was into England at the time, but it was a freezing cold day. It was a crap game, but we see Rocky make his England debut, and we went just because of that. And there's not many players we would have done that for, if at that time. He was that. He had an aura about him, and I know like certain players get. Ray Parler gets pillared there. I have to say, by the way, that he'd have to get a mention for the right-hand side as well.
I was going to say,
in 98, he was absolutely sublime. And again, you sort of, with Ray, wouldn't get in it. But, if you put him up there, he'd be very much in a lot of squads at Arsenal that were great, So he'd have to get a mention as well. But
fair one,
Rocky was class.
And over the other side on the left, mate, it's fairly easy, was it?
Fairly easy. I think, probably the best footballer. I think that Robert Perez must have been the easiest player ever to coach, because he just done everything by the manual. I thought he was absolutely his first touch, his passing. The 2001-2000 season before he got injured, I don't think I've seen anything like that. He was absolutely brilliant. The goal we got against Aston Villa always sticks out in my mind. I don't know if you remember the one against Southampton, which started off our unbeaten run.
That was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Unbelievable goal. Unbelievable goal.
Brilliant
goal. With that. And one of the reasons I think that I don't know how many goals, but he always seemed to score against Spurs as well. Like
He did.
So that was always a nice little habit to get into.
I think the biggest compliment I can give Perez is he had. You already half mentioned it about his 2001-2002 season before he got injured, but that was the only season I sat there and I thought he's better than Giggs here. And Giggs for me was just unbelievably good. I mean, he was by far one of the best players I've ever seen in the Premier League, and maybe the best player to play in the Premier League. But that's another story. For me, there was 1 or 2 seasons where Perez was as good, if not better, and that's the biggest compliment I can give him.
Yeah. I also have to say this. I don't know how other Arsenal fans are feel about it, but when he got injured, I was absolutely gutted, and he used to count down the weeks, for him to come back. It was like, and I remember the game that he come back against Highbury. It was, Robert Perez is on he's going to be on today, and I imagine every Arsenal fan counted down the day. And to his credit, he come back from that injury and was as good. I don't think he was better, but he come back as good, and was, come back in the invincible year. The Liverpool goal, do you remember that when we was 1-0 down with about 10 minutes to go? He cut inside and smashed it for the winner. He could just do that.
Remember that penalty against Portsmouth? I happened to be in a box in the clock end for that one, and it was just right in front of me, and I was on top of the Portsmouth fans. They weren't very happy.
Yeah, he absolutely got pillared for that, really. But I've seen a lot worse, I have to say. But
yeah, likewise.
But he got pillared for it. But
great player.
One little misdemeanor, I think all the girls loved him with his long hair as well, and and I just remember that he used to do that, just that little thing like that. You know what I mean? He was class. And I've got to say that the story, I don't know if I've ever told you this, is that I come out of Chelsea. I think we'd lost to Chelsea, and as I'm walking along, Robert Perez was walking alongside me. So I said, I thought I've got to ask for his, for a photo. So I said, "Can I all right for a photo?" So he said, "Yeah, no problem." So over the phone, he goes, he says, "I'm trying to get to Earl's Court. Do you know where Earl's Court is?" So I said, "I'm going there myself. Follow me." It's the best 10-15 minute walk of my life. You know what I mean? Like walking along with Robert Perez, talking all Arsenal. And I can tell you this now, that he stopped. Cars were stopping, people getting out of their cars and having photos done. It was about, to Chelsea to Earl's Court is about 15-minute walk. It took us about 45 minutes, and he kept saying, "Oh, sorry about this," and I said, "Take your time, Robert." You know what I mean? And it went on forever. And when he got to Earl's Court, and he said, "Oh, this is it." I said, "This is Earl's Court now." He said, "Oh, I'm going now." I was so sad as I waved him goodbye. You know what I mean? It was just.
And the rest is history. Here you're on Arsenal Fans TV and Guns and Yellow Ribbons.
Yeah. So I don't think I was doing all that sort of stuff then. It was just I might have been, but it was. It was just 30 minutes of pure joy, just walking down the road, and people must have been thinking, "Oh, like he's his mate or whatever." I was with a couple of his mates. It was just a fantastic half hour, so I had that as well.
Claim to fame, mate. Claim to fame.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. 2 centre forwards, Lee. I'll let you choose which one you want, because there must be 3. Mate, you've left one out, and I'm gutted you left him out, mate. But go on.
Lee Chapman? Yeah, that was a difficult one. That was, you know what I mean. So, listen, when I first started off at Arsenal, some great centre forwards. Malcolm McDonald was a great centre forward for us. Then Frank Stapleton was fantastic for us. My first real number 9 that come into the equation. And we then like Alan Smith has to get a mention as well, was fantastic for us. But I'm going to say this now, boys. When Ian Wright come along, I never thought I'd see him. I thought that's it. He's got to be in my team. He's got to be in my team. I didn't see anybody else ever taking that from him. Then the song come out. You know what I mean? On the Friday night, I've seen the new Ian Wright. And it was true, when Thierry Henry came to the club, he was absolutely fantastic. And I was a little bit gutted when he first came there, because I don't know if you remember, we just sold Nicholas Anelka, who I thought was going to be the best player I'd ever seen at Arsenal. As a teenager, probably him and Cesc Fabregas, you know, were the best two teenagers that were about. By the way, just going back to Liam Brady, if it weren't for Liam Brady, Cesc Fabregas would have got into my team. He was another wonderful, wonderful player. But Nicholas Anelka got into the side, and I thought he was going to be the best thing I've ever seen. But we sold him, and Thierry Henry came along, and I wasn't quite sure of him at first. He missed a few chances, and I thought, oh, what have we got here? Like, you know, got another Nicholas Pepe here, haven't we? Like, but anyway, that's another story. And then he just become this monster of a footballer that I never imagined that I see. Powerful, pacey, skillful, goals for fun. Yeah, just, you know what I mean, poor Ian Wright was soon forgotten from that point of view. You know, not really forgotten from the love side of it, but like from ever getting into a lot of top teams. You know, Ian Wright's place was going to be taken by this man, because I just thought that he had everything, didn't he? He had absolutely everything. Goals that he scored, and you know, there were times when I think that towards the end of his career, he carried Arsenal as well. So he'd done it all with the great team that won the titles, and that towards the end, you know, the goal against Real Madrid. Well, you know, I mean, unbelievable. You can go for like solo goals that he got, Tottenham, you know, so many.
Yeah,
so
Liverpool.
Many. Liverpool, that game there just dragged us through that game there. Never to lose against Spurs in the North London derby. You know, just unbelievable.
I remember I saw him at Highbury against Leeds where he scored 4. That was absolutely amazing that night, wasn't it? You know, and then he come back to us as well and scored against Leeds with that unbelievable goal. And yeah, just one of my favourite ever players.
His last touch for Arsenal was a goal. You know, you can't.
I know, mate. Everything
you know, iconic players like Vieira and Henry. You know what I mean? Their last act for Arsenal was scoring goals. But terrific player. And you know, listen, you can argue that probably the best ever Arsenal player. They've got a statue there. I do believe they should have one of Ian Wright there, if I'll be honest.
I do.
But maybe because he was, you know, he never played at the Emirates, or nor did Tony Adams to come. I just felt that Ian Wright. You know, I'd like to see, to be honest, a little statue of him and David Rocastle together. That would be very, very fitting. But I do believe.
Which statue should come out first, or would you like one with the two of them hugging each other or something like that?
Yeah, do you know the one at Southampton? Something like one of them. I think that they'd both, you know, like both like families would. And
they grew up together down in South London.
Yeah, and I just think that, you know, Ian would like that as well, like, you know. But I do believe that, you know, he deserves a statue.
Maybe we should get Arsenal fans to put all their energy into getting a Rocky and Wrighty statue outside the Emirates rather than
it'd be really, really nice, you know what I mean, if they've done that. I know they've got their pictures up in the stadium and everything like that, but I just think that would be nice.
I agree.
You know, because he was you know, a legendary goal scorer for us at the time. But you know, Thierry Henry's got one there, and deservedly so. You know, and I don't think we're ever going to see anything like him in the Premier League again. You know, as a striker.
Yeah, mate, I've got to agree. If I'm honest, I've got to agree. And then don't always say this. Save the best to last. But someone else with a statue. Go for it. Who's your last player?
Yeah, I just think that probably the man that changed Arsenal, as far as I'm concerned. You know. As much as I loved Henry as a player, I just think that Dennis Bergkamp's the best player I've ever seen play for Arsenal, because he could just do everything, absolutely everything. You know, the passing that he done, the goals, and I just think that he changed Arsenal what no other person did. And I just think that you know, I just got to say that some of the goals he got, the Newcastle goal was sublime. The hat-trick against Leicester was sensational. But just an all-round play, you know, could pick out things, had a little bit of a nasty streak to him, got stuck in. And I just think was a wonderful, wonderful player. And class, you know, like... and we was very, very fortunate to have the likes of Dennis, Thierry Henry, Ian Wright, and Nicholas Anelka in that sort of era. And you know, when people try and compare people to Dennis Bergkamp, it does make me laugh because he was so unique. Yeah, I just think that he had everything.
What was your favourite goal that he scored, Lee Bergkamp? Newcastle or Leicester?
Do you know what my favourite goal that he ever scored for Arsenal? Wasn't one of those two ones. Do you remember the one he got against Spurs when the ball come across and he cut inside? It was right, and he smashed it in, like, you know what I mean.
Ian Wright did that amazing bit of trickery down the wing, didn't he?
Yeah,
right,
that's right. He put it across and he come his bang, gets in there, like, you know what I mean. That was a great fit. That was a great gun. I don't know if you remember the one at Sunderland.
Where he did that.
The little fit, done that when he'd been sent off, or something happened in the week before, or something, like, you know, absolute class. But you could, you know, like there's some other fantastic goals. Also, the one that his first goal ever for us against Southampton. I remember the crowd going absolutely wild when that went in. You know, so you know, some great goals. And I think that when he first come to Arsenal, we was not our great. I think we just come off the back of one of our
it was Rioch, wasn't it?
Worst seasons. And I remember I was travelling around America at the time, and we just picked up a paper, me and my mate, and, you know, Bergkamp and David Platt had signed for Arsenal. And unfortunately for David, I weren't too excited about that one. But when I see Dennis Bergkamp, I thought, wow, I've got to get back home and watch him. And, you know, wonderful player. You know, great player.
Lee, thanks very much, mate. Going to run through your team now, mate. You've gone for David Seaman in goal, and obviously mentioned a few other goalkeepers you've had over the years. You've gone for a back four of Lee Dixon, Tony Adams, Sal Campbell and Kenny Sansom. You've gone for Patrick Vieira and Liam Brady in centre of midfield, Robert Pires on the left wing, Rocky Rocastle on the right, and then Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp up front. That's a hell of a team. That is a hell of a team. Listen, if that plays in the Premier League this season, where does it finish, Lee?
Well, it beat Southampton Saturday. I'll tell you that now. Like, I'll be quite looking forward to the game, and I wouldn't be having to drink 6 or 7 pints to go and watch it. You know what I mean? Like, well, I'll be amazed if that didn't win the league. I've got to say that. I'd be amazed if it didn't win the league. You know, the subs bench would be just as good as well. You know, but like, listen, that would. I couldn't see that losing too many games, if I'll be honest. No, to be honest, I don't think it would lose a game. There you go. Brilliant.
And just before we do go and finish up, mate, manager, who would you have as your Arsenal manager of all time?
Oh, got to be Uri Emery, innit? Got to be like that. Yeah. So without a shadow of doubt, there's only one manager. You know, listen, I've been very, very fortunate. George Graham. Do you know what? I'm going to say this now. George Graham has given me my best 2 ever moments as an Arsenal fan.
Okay.
Which was the semi-final win against Tottenham in '87, and of course '89 at Liverpool. You know, they were the 2 best things. But as great as he was for us, Arsene Wenger took us to a level. Do you know, me and my dad were talking the other day? I went round and seen my dad the other day, and he said, "Do you know what, son? We had the cheek to moan when in 2004 at some of the Arsenal performances," and he goes, and look at it now. You know what I mean? How blessed we was, you know. And Arsene Wenger gave us that. He gave us 2000, he gave us 98, 2002, and of course 2004. And you know, how dare we ever moan when I look back at that, like when we drew at a couple of games somewhere along the line. I remember losing to Charlton at home once. And I was going mad, you know, and you think to yourself now, if only I knew then what I know now, you know, because they was just. I
remember that game. George Graham, what's his name? Richard Wright. Richard Wright was punching the ball in his net and stuff. I remember that.
Just a nightmare. We ended up winning the league, you know what I mean, that season. But you know, moaned when we drew a game for the Invincibles. I remember drawing somewhere. Do you know what? I'm going to say this now. You know, people go, you know, when they sing that song, we won the league at White Hart Lane. I come out there fuming. That game because we was 2-0 up and drew 2-2. And when I look back on it, that's how spoilt we was. You know what I mean?
That's how good we were, mate.
I wanted to win here. I wanted to win here. We was 2-0 up. You know what I mean? I thought, calm down. You know what I mean? We just won the leg. No, we was 2-0 up. Fucking Lehman, what's he doing? And I never really enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I never really enjoyed it because I felt that we should have won that game. You know, and really rubbed it in. You know.
Lee, there's somebody who either thinks you're a lot older than you are or doesn't understand the rules of this, that you've actually had to see in real life. Cathartic, said Herbert Chapman. Lee, I don't think you just missed Herbert, didn't you?
I did miss Herbert. My first manager was Terry Neal, that I can really remember, like, you know. So Terry Neal. Donnell after that, but so Herbert Chapman's a little bit before my time, as was Bertie me, cheeky sod.
Maybe Trev might be around for Herbert.
Yeah, well, Trev, like, you know what I mean? he was running around in his shorts then, like, you know. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Boys, thanks very much. Lee, absolute top man as always, mate. Proper appreciated that. Really good team. Enjoyed it. Fergus, as always, mate. Top lad. I'll let you wrap this up because you always do your little spiel at the end. But thanks for letting me do this again, mate.
No problem.
Really enjoyed it.
As always, you've done really, really well, Dan. I love watching these. I don't normally get involved because I'm a bit of a control freak, as you know. And I'll leave you to get on with it. Lee, thank you. I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it.
Enjoyed doing the Gooner as well, which is, if people want to listen back on SoundCloud or Spotify or anything like that, there's a Gooner to Gooner, so you'll get the link to do with the dry cleaning. You'll know a little bit more about Lee as well.
Can I just say quickly, Ferg, Trev doesn't appreciate that comment.
Get frozen, is that what it says? Sorry,
I'm not gonna get frozen. I think it says, yeah.
Can't even spell, can he, Trev? You know what I mean? I'm older, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean?
Right, listen, you have been watching Guns and Yellow Ribbons live. This is a 1 to 11 hosted by Potsy with lead judges, me just in the background, a little bit playing with all the screens and stuff like that. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you like it, if you tell your friends and mates about it, if you're on YouTube, click on the bell and subscribe to us. If you're on Facebook, just keep on joining in. We will do a podcast later in the week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday next week. After our 10-0 victory against Southampton. You can tell I've had a beer. We've overran, but I blame Lee.
Sorry about that.
Up the arse.
Up the arse.